Subway employees of Reddit, what was the grossest sub you've had to make? Way back when we used to make cheesy bread by pulling out the middle and melting the cheese in its place. We don't do that anymore. Thank God. There was this person that wanted that. Then she asked for nothing else except oil. I mean, literally a shit ton of oil. There was a pool about 3 centimeters filling the excavation of bread. She gave a $10 tip. So that was kinda nice. But I'll never forgot you. Oompa Loompa oily cheese bread lady. We were across the road from a pub. A customer who'd been across the road all day came and ordered a meatball sub. He asked me to put every meat we had on it. Seafood, tuna, cold meats, the 4 different chickens we had at the time. Everything. Was an absolute bitch to close and cost him something like $40 for one 6-inch sandwich if I recall correctly. He sat down inside and ate it all. A guy in front of me in line ordered a tuna sandwich and then pulled out a Ziploc bag of grain sugar. He asked if they'd put the sugar on top of all the tuna before roasting the sandwich. They did it, but I can't imagine caramelized tuna would be my choice for food. Took my sister to Subway when she visited the mainland. She lives in rural Tasmania and had not been to Subway before and was quite nervous. When she discovered you could just pick what you wanted, she just came alive, like she had been waiting her life for this opportunity. She ordered meatball with seafood, tuna plus and teriyaki chicken, with just capsicum and pickle. I was not fazed, until she asked for tomato sauce. The lady was really cool about it. Thanks for being so cool about it, Subway lady. I worked there in college. One guy would come in and order 2 quadruple meat, quadruple cheese BLTs. That's 40 pieces of bacon per sandwich. He would house both of them sitting right there in the dining room, 80 pieces of bacon down one pea hole. A guy came in with a Tupperware bowl of natto and asked us to put it on a chicken and bacon ranch melt. We're not allowed to do that, so we just made him the sandwich and he took it to his table. He came back a few minutes later and asked if we could heat his sandwich more. It was pretty clear that he'd added the natto himself and now wanted us to cook the damn stuff. He was polite, so my coworker obliged. Our place smelled like rotting rat anus for the rest of the day. A foot long with lots of marinara sauce and pickle juice. Not pickles, the juice from the bag that they came in from the supplier. Nasty. I worked at Subway for a few months during my freshman year of college. The grossest thing I ever made wasn't a sub but a salad I made for an older lady. She came in right before closing and she asked for a salad with shredded lettuce, cut up ham, and mayonnaise. So much mayo. I squeezed a few lines on her salad and looked up at her to ask if that was too much and she said, "Oh no baby, I'm going to need a lot more than that," and I ended up squeezing what seemed like almost half of the squeeze bottle on her salad. The top of the lettuce ham bowl she asked for was completely covered in mayo like a blanket of creamy snow. I swear the ratio of mayo to lettuce was like 3:1. She even got extra mayo in a little cup on the side just in case. It really stuck in my memory because I remember she got so much mayo we had to prep another bottle of it before we could close. A drunk guy came in and asked for a 6-inch flatbread with just mayo, garlic mayo, and ketchup, and he wanted it toasted. I quit a few months ago, but I was covering a shift at a different store. Guy wanted a tuna sandwich. No big deal. Then he wanted me to put steak on it. Okay, weird. Then he was like, "What is that?" while pointing at the veggie patties. He asked for that on it too. A tuna, steak, veggie patty sandwich. I don't remember the veggies, but he did get some. He gave me a $5 tip and his number. I never called him. And X200B. The other one that was just fucking weird to me was someone ordering a meatball sub and then getting, like, an entire bottle of sweet onion sauce on it. It was so much fucking sweet onion sauce. So much. Before getting fired I would often have a customer that would order a foot-long honey wheat with nothing but onions, hot sauce, mayo and black olives. It smelled of feet and sickness when it was done being toasted. I made many a gross sub for late night drunks. One that stands out particularly is a foot-long seafood with an entire bottle of light mayo and 3 whole tomatoes double toasted. Late to the party, but I feel like everyone needs to hear about the cheese man. This trucker comes in once or twice a week and orders a tuna sub. Before you put the tuna on, he wants the bread coated on both sides with mayo. Next the tuna, then the Swiss cheese, double portion, then cover the tuna in ranch, then add 2 big handfuls of shredded cheese. Next more ranch, then 2 bigger handfuls of shredded cheese. More ranch, you ask? Yes, The answer is always yes. Next is onions and green peppers. Toasted now while it weighs as much as a healthy newborn. More shredded cheese. Now one last quarter of a bottle of ranch. Please add a strip of light mayo before you wrap it. It was the nastiest, messiest pile of shit I have ever seen, and I used to live in a ghetto. I had a frequent flyer for about 6 months, literally only while she was pregnant, that would come in and get a tuna foot long on white with olives, bell peppers, and an offensive, downright impossible to close without overflow, amount of mayonnaise. She wanted this sandwich heated, in the microwave. Former Subway employee. This elderly man named Larry would come in every other day and get a foot-long tuna. He would eat one half that day, the other half the next day. Tuna on wheat with nothing except handfuls of jalapenos. I mean one huge fistful on each half and then some. You could barely close the sandwich. I'm sure in his old age he had perhaps lost some sense of taste. But my god, I don't know how he even could taste the tuna. Not particularly gross I suppose, but definitely stood out. My mom, RIP, used to get a tuna salad sub with black olives and onions, with meatballs and extra marinara for one of her co-workers. She told her co-worker one day that she couldn't get it anymore cause it made her car smell bad. After she passed, I ended up with her car. I swear sometimes on hot days, I can smell that nasty ass sandwich. LOL. It's been 5 years now. Subway worker coming up 9 years. Managing for 4 years. Had many odd combinations, but the top one is when a drunk came in and wanted everything on the sub. And I mean everything. I explained that if he had everything it would be very expensive and he insisted. So I opened up a foot long, heated all the meats and cheese, toasted and all the salads with majority of the sauces, salt and pepper. Being very large sandwich, we couldn't close the sub so we had to open another foot long and put it on top. Took 2 subrap to wrap it up. Came to 70-ish. Can't remember exactly. $. Guy paid and off he went. Not sandwich, but when I worked at Subway there was an option to turn any sub into a salad for a nominal fee. Guy comes through and orders a hot meatball salad. I've never been able to get it out of my mind. Nauseated face. Distressed face vomiting. Tuna and meatball. Hands down. Actually, runner-up would be those customers that would ask for more mayo after you gave them the requisite amount. And then ask for more. And then you're like, tell me when to stop. And they just stand there. Then the bottle starts making that farting sound signifying it's out of condiment. So you take the cap off and scoop the dredges onto the sandwich. And the customer is still looking at you expectantly. So you go to the fridge and grab another bottle of mayo. And you start putting that on the sandwich. And eventually you're halfway through the second bottle. So you stop and you look them in the eye and say how's that, and they just give you a disgruntled nod and move on to the register. And now you get to try to close a sandwich that looks like Thanos came into a soggy piece of bread. Edit. Thanks for the gold and anonymous comments of validation. I've never been a sandwich artist, but when I was in high school a friend of mine was and told me a woman would come in every day, order the same sandwich with one single olive slice. But she didn't want to know where it was on the sandwich, so she would turn around when it was put on so she could be surprised. Had a regular come in for a 6-inch tuna sub, add turkey, with cucumbers and a grip of vinegar. She then would get a bag of salt and vinegar chips and put most of them in the sub. She was cool, though. She worked at the movies next door and would always let me in for free. One time she fucked my coworker in the employee bathroom. A very obese, horrendous smelling man would come in every week like clockwork for a seafood delight with double meat on sourdough, so twice the scoops of crab mix on our most narrow bread. The crab mix was literally just this horrible imitation crab from refrigerated packets mixed with mayonnaise. On top of that he wanted a thick layer of mayo until you can't see the crab, and then provolone and parmesan on top of that, and then, inexplicably, 2 really big handfuls of olives, then toasted double time so the bread was basically burned and the mush of a sandwich on top of it stunk to high heaven. The sandwich couldn't be closed because of all of the filling, which didn't matter because he always ate it there, open-faced. A large amount of the crab and mayo would always end up on the floor and table. The guy smelled bad. His sandwich smelled bad. It's been 12 years since I left that job and I still can't unsmell the combination of the two. When I used to work there was once this guy who told me I want the steak and cheese, but I want it with everything that I can get for free. He got it toasted with all the vegetable options. But the disgusting part is that when I asked him if he wanted any sauce on it, he said, "Which can I get for free?" I said, "Any." All of them. This man made me squeeze every single sauce option on his sub. Every single one. I wrapped that thing so many times and the sauce still leaked through the paper. It was freaking disgusting. Edit. Now I feel bad for this guy cause y'all are telling me he was most likely just poor and hungry.